Tensions continue in the northeast Meghalaya region. Massive clashes between the police and protesters have been reported as 7 districts of the state witness an internet shutdown. The clashes come in the backdrop of a shooting incident on Tuesday. Here's what transpired. Violence had broken out at the border between the two states in the early hours of Tuesday, November 22nd, around 3 a.m. in the West Karbi Anglong district of Assam and the Mukro village in Meghalaya's West Jaintia Hills. Reportedly, a truck which was laden with illegally felled timber was intercepted by the forest guards from Assam, and 6 people, which included 5 tribal villagers from Meghalaya and a forest guard from Assam, were killed in the firing by the Assam police. The Assam police has claimed that they opened fire in self-defense after a mob surrounded them when they were trying to intercept the truck. Following the shooting, tribal residents from Meghalaya allegedly burnt down a forest office in Assam's West Karbi Anglong district, and at least 2 vehicles, one in Mukro village where the violence took place on Tuesday and another in Meghalaya's capital Shillong, were set ablaze by a mob. Reacting to the firing incident, Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma termed the Assam police's actions as inhuman and said that the state will set up a judicial commission and a special investigation team to probe the shooting until a central agency takes over. On the other hand, Assam announced a one-man inquiry commission under a retired High Court judge. While Sangma in a press briefing condemned the Assam police and the forest guards for entering Meghalaya and resorting to unprovoked firing, Assam in a statement announcing the setting up of the inquiry commission said that the incident took place in the West Karbi Anglong district, which is in Assam. After a meeting between Sangma and the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, a probe into the incident has been handed over to the CBI. However, tensions are still ongoing. Following the incident, in the light of the ongoing protests, the Meghalaya government has announced an internet ban which was extended on Thursday by another 48 hours. Protests have been called by 5 pressure groups in Meghalaya. It includes the Khasi Students' Union, the Federation of Khasi Jaintia and the Garo people, and other groups such as the HNYF and the Re-Bhoi Youth Federation and the Jaintia Students' Union, which is the JSU. Members of these groups have demanded that those who are responsible for the killing be handed over to the Meghalaya police. Following the reports of attacks on vehicles from Assam driving through the Meghalaya region, the Assam police has set up barricades at various border crossings and have asked people not to travel to the hill state in vehicles bearing the Assam number plates. Clashes between the police and the protesters were reported from Shillong on Thursday evening as well. As per reports, the police had to resort to tear gas and lathi charge against the protesters. Shillong Times reported that rioters had attacked 3 women police constables inside the Shillong Civil Hospital premises. An inspector of customs and central excise, Alok Kumar, who was in Shillong for training at the National Academy of Customs and Indirect Taxes and Narcotics, was also reportedly attacked by a mob at the IGP point in the city yesterday. His hearing aid and his mobile were reportedly snatched by the mob. State government offices in the city on Friday wore a deserted look as well in the view of the non-cooperation day which was called by the 5 pressure groups. The tensions in the region have further sparked a row over the border dispute between Assam and Meghalaya. Assam and Meghalaya have both had a 5-decade-old boundary dispute. Meghalaya, which is carved out of Assam as an autonomous region in 1970, became a full-fledged state in 1972. The dispute is largely centered over 12 areas of the 884.9 kilometer long interstate border. The 2 states had signed a memorandum of understanding in March this year in the presence of the Union Home Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi to end the dispute in 6 of these regions and initiated discussions to resolve the disputes in the remaining 6. The incident comes ahead of the second phase of talks which are scheduled for this month between the 2 states to resolve their boundary dispute.
First and foremost, I think what has to be said is that what happened at Mukro village, the firing which resulted in the loss of 6 lives, is condemnable. The action by Assam police is a violation not just of human rights, but also of constitutional guarantees of a federal structure of how states ought to operate. There was a violation of jurisdiction where the Assam police entered into Meghalaya. After the incident in Mukro, obviously people are sad, people are angry, but we have to understand that I think this anger is about being angry at the respective governments, both Assam and Meghalaya. And what happened at Mukro is actually reflective of this culture of impunity that exists today, not just in Assam, not just in Meghalaya, but the culture of impunity that is there in the entire country. It is something that obviously then feeds into, communal sentiments, into allowing people to run riot, into allowing police to be trigger happy. We know that Assam of late has been a state that has just not cared two hoots about human rights abuses by state actors. And this kind of impunity is also reflective of a kind of bullying that exists. So here is a big state bullying a smaller state, or a bigger community, or people who think they are in majority, whether in terms of ethnic composition, religious composition. This is what is happening in our country. And sadly, it is also being played out in the states. Now, post-Mukro, post the incident, people have every right to protest, and many groups and citizens have been protesting. Unfortunately, some of the protests have again led to violence on the street, have led to vandalism of public property, and this again is resulting from a sense of impunity. People get away. In Meghalaya, we have seen that when there have been violence unleashed on the streets by mobs, very little action in terms of prosecution has taken place. And this sense that you can get away with what you do and that there is no law and order is something that is also being played out post-Mukro. If you ask me what is the situation like now in Shillong, after the 2 days of protest, yesterday and today, there is a kind of the streets are a little empty, the town is a bit quiet, and unfortunately it has also meant that business establishments have downed their shutters, people have not gone to work, and this has impacted our economy and also further made life difficult, because post-COVID all of us are struggling, especially daily wage earners, small businesses. And what has happened in the past 2 days post the protests is again, breaking the people's backs. So it's really unfortunate, because obviously justice has to be done, not just for the victims of Mukro and their families, but also we have to understand that justice has to prevail even for the common person on the street, for people who are in Shillong, who have had to face the brunt of these protests and the violence that has been unleashed on the streets. Now, the other thing that I think we ought to focus on regarding Mukro is the fact that there were reports that it all emerged from a so-called attempt to intercept a truck that was carrying illegal timber. Interestingly, both governments have tried to hush up this aspect of the case, and we need to bring focus on this, because it is a fact that in both the states of Assam and Meghalaya, there's a rampant illegal extraction of coal, of stone, of timber, and there is a nexus, a political, police, administrative, non-state actor nexus. And we need to expose this so that in the guise of, stopping such illegalities, which is not actually happening. What is happening is that there is a breach on the rights of tribals and indigenous people to have access to forests, to use non-timber forest produce, to be able to live with the forest the way they used to. And so what we really need to do is to ensure that illicit trade in timber or coal or limestone is stopped, and that those indulging in such activities need to be nabbed. And this cannot come at the cost of trampling on our customary and traditional rights to forests, because eventually it is the poor person, the laborer, who gets the brunt of it. Whereas what is now talked about here in Meghalaya, the high level people who actually indulge in rampant illegalities of all sorts go scot-free.